I first got interested in wine when I was very young, at about age 17. I was living in northern New Jersey at that time, and the drinking age in New York was 18. So all the teenagers, as they got to be into high school or early college, would start driving to New York and buying beer and wine. You couldn't buy hard liquor until you were 21. And I got a taste for wine. Obviously I was buying it for its effect, to have fun, but it became my favorite beverage. I came out to California to do graduate work at Davis in the early 70s, and that was my introduction to California wine. And on the East Coast, European wine dominated at that time, and it's still important, but I was at UC Davis, and there was a wine store there. I started buying California wines. I hadn't had anything but California jug wine to that point, but I became very, very interested in the higher-end California wines. After I left school, I was living in San Francisco, working in sales, and I started buying my wine at a tiny little neighborhood wine shop in the Richmond district, and family-owned, tiny little place. They hardly exist anymore, this type of wine shop. And that's really where my education in wine began, because this shop would sell me wine, and then when I came back in, they would ask me how I liked it or what I liked about it, and the ones I didn't like, and they began educating me and getting me a very wide range of wines to try. It got to the point where I was probably spending half my paycheck every month on wine. It became a big, big hobby of mine. And then, a few years after that, while I was still living in San Francisco, I went to a dinner party, and I met these two men at this dinner party. We started talking wine, and we really got along. And it turned out that these were the guys who were raising the money at that time to found Acacia. And by the end of the evening, they said to me, well, do you want to come and work for us if we can raise this money? And I thought, oh, you hear, so much, bull at parties. I thought, why would anybody ever hire me to work in a winery? And so I didn't think much about it, but they actually raised the money. They actually hired me. I started working on wine in the late 70s. In 1979, my first vintage. Within 2 weeks of starting to make wine, it was something where I knew I would do it for the rest of my life. Here it is 30 years later now, 30 vintages later, and my enthusiasm for it is undiminished. So that's my history.